Now, we love to talk about prime time. And man, when I was looking through Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, and we'll get to all those, saw a lot of great matchups. Not a ton of duds where I was going to be like, okay, definitely turning the channel on that one. We'll start with Monday Night Football, though. Give me your best or some of your best Monday Night Football games.
I think the Super Bowl rematch is unquestionably the best, but I think opening Monday night as well, you get Aaron Rodgers' debut against the Buffalo Bills. I mean, and this
Yes.
is an interesting year for
Yes.
Buffalo because I feel like this team has the potential to maybe take a step back a little bit. Obviously, losing Brian Dable last year, we saw the effect that had on
Yep.
Josh Allen. You lose Leslie Frazier, their defensive coordinator, which I think is a really sneaky
That was
underrated
huge.
loss. It's a huge loss, and especially losing some pieces on the defensive side. So whether or not that Allen can have sort of a bounce back year. Again, this is a Jets defense that was among one of the 5 best in the NFL, so that could be fascinating. Then you have Aaron Rodgers, I shouldn't say new offensive coordinator. Listen, Hackett was his offensive coordinator in Green Bay. He just didn't call plays. So you have that aspect of it. New receivers, new environment, obviously huge expectations. I think that one sticks out to me. I'm forgetting. It seemed like might have been a Steelers Browns on there, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously Pittsburgh coming off of was a 4-game winning streak to close last season. I think Cleveland has the potential to be sneaky good with Deshaun
Yes.
Watson having a full year of the offseason. Great running game, really good defense. Just traded for Zadarius Smith, so that could be a fascinating one. There are some good Monday night games, but I got to admit to you, I kind of think the Thursday night games might be a little bit better. Which the NFL, I think, is in some ways was a reaction to last year. We were all complaining about, man, these Thursday night games are terrible, and I think the NFL wanted to correct that.
Yeah, 100%. They cleaned it up, and we'll get to those Thursday night games in just a second. I love that you know that they're packed because I felt kind of guilty. I'm like, man, I got a couple on here, or really more than a couple, and just going through the segment, I'm like, I got to narrow it down, but there's a ton on there that are great for sure. I got 4 of my favorite Monday Night Football games that we're going to be looking into. You mentioned Bills Jets week 1. I think that is perfect to start the Monday Night Football season.
Yes.
Josh Allen, Bills, like you said, team that's really looking to keep that Super Bowl window open, and there are some questions of how they're going to be able to adjust coming into this year. Aaron Rodgers clearly being with the New York Jets. I love the test that A-Rod's going to get off the rip. You're going to be hosting at home, first big primetime game. It's week 1. You're on Monday Night Football. We've heard all the comments. We've seen everything that's happened, and a pretty stout Buffalo defense are going to be healthy coming into this year. Definitely going to be a test for A-Rod, and I think will set the tone on really a lot of the speculation and just monocle, maybe in a fair or unfair way, that we're going to be looking at with Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. The Broncos and the Bills in week 10. I love that you allude to Cleveland being sneaky good. I believe they can be a very good team next year. People forget about Deshaun Watson. Ooh, almost knocked my water over. That would have been horrible. People forget about Deshaun Watson. You look at the front 7 as they trade for Z Smith. They keep bringing in more players. Sticking here to the Broncos and the Bills, though, I think the Broncos are going to be another team bringing in Sean Payton. I've witnessed a lot of his work firsthand, clearly as a fan. The Bills being a team that I just mentioned. Sean Payton and Russell Wilson, I believe, are going to show us new things from both of their games, and I think by week 10 they'll be in full stride. It'll be a great game for them on Pride Time. Love that you bring up the Super Bowl rematch. No questions about that there. And then the Bengals and the Jags. Week 13.
Ooh,
a lot of people are saying that the
one.
Jaguars could be a top 5, maybe a top 3 team this year. And when you look at, we know what the Bengals are. They could damn near, be in the Super Bowl this year. This could be a AFC title game matchup right here. Former number 1 overall picks facing on Monday Night Football. Absolutely love to see it. But let's go on and get into Thursday night football games. I know you said the slate was loaded. I'm glad Amazon and really the league heard our complaints. Give me some of your best ones there on Thursday night.
Lions-Packers week 4 sticks out right off the bat. You have two, you got a Detroit team who I've been on the record. I said on our guy Ryan Flowers show. I know you had Ryan on recently on your show. He was part of our draft show. I've said on his show, I've said on my show. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. The Detroit Lions will be in the NFC Championship game. Okay, I'm just letting everybody know right off the bat that that's going to be the case. You've got, obviously, Green Bay, Jordan Love by week 4. Are we going to see kind of what he's going to evolve into? Because, look, this is his 4th year in the NFL. 3 years backing up Aaron Rodgers, very similar to how Rodgers backed up Favre for 3 years. You got Matt LaFleur. You got some of the good young weapons they got there. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. I thought they had an okay draft on the offensive side of the ball. Still good offensive line. I think that's a fascinating game. I also think looking down the road, Broncos Chiefs in week 6. Obviously, Denver hasn't beaten Kansas City since Gosh, I remember this game. Remember the week 2 2015 game where there was a fumble by Jamal Charles and Denver picked up and scored? Haven't beaten them since that point.
Wow.
And obviously Mahomes has never lost to the Denver Broncos at all. Has an impeccable record in the NFC. I'm sorry, in the AFC West. Looking forward to week 10 Panthers Bears. You got Bryce Young
Yes.
versus Justin Fields. That's another young quarterback matchup potentially. Again, Fields is another guy kind of like Love, where, okay, this is year 3. They put some weapons around you. They had an okay
Yep.
draft. I
Yep.
kind of like the coaching staff. It's a weak division and a
Right.
Carolina team that's in rebuild. Like, what will he be by that point? Will he be more developed as a pure thrower from the pocket? And will they look to utilize his legs more? So
Right.
there's some good ones, much better than there were on the schedule a year ago. I remember there was
Yes.
about 3 or 4 straight games where it's like, okay, I'm talking about this
Tank
on my
Bowl.
show because it's the only thing that's on. Okay, if this were on Sunday, there's no way that this game's coming up on my show. But
Yeah.
no, I thought the NFL did a fantastic job. Also, think wasn't there a Seahawks Cowboys game as well that I
Believe
thought was
so.
fascinating.
Yep.
So I mean, I'm just looking down the schedule. Chargers, Raiders, which they played a classic a couple of years ago. Your Saints and the Rams. I think the
Yep.
Rams are due for a bounce back year. So there are some really good Thursday night games on this schedule for sure.
100%. You definitely cannot discount it at all. Broncos Chiefs, you mentioned week 6. That was the first one that jumped off to me. Again, you're going to have Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Sean Payton. Going to be a true just duel of big offensive players and offensive
Mhm.
masterminds. And again, week 6, I'm glad this is one of those matchups we're going to see later on in the year. I hate when we see, like, imagine if we saw like Chiefs Eagles week 1 last year. Like,
Yeah,
maybe no one would have bid on that for being okay. That's going to be the two teams at the end of the year. But you get 4 to 6 weeks into the season, I feel like you can start to separate the contenders from the pretenders. Kind of start to realize who's going to be the big teams in the NFL, who's going to be the people that are going to be being talked about on the shows and whatnot. Broncos Chiefs, though, week 6, going to love to see that. You mentioned Panthers Bears, week 10, going to be another awesome one. Bryce Young and Justin Fields, two guys that one went number 1 overall. Justin Fields could have went number 1 overall as well if it wasn't for Trevor Lawrence. Two teams that are in interesting situations as well in terms of roster, in terms of coaching, kind of their expectations coming into this year. You look at really week 10 through week 13. Week 10 was just Panthers at Bears. Next week, week 11, Bengals, Ravens. If Lamar is going
oof,
to be able to stay healthy, we know what the Bengals are. Dolphins, Jets, week 12. The Dolphins are going to be a little interesting. I want to buy in so badly on the Dolphins because they take one of my favorite running backs in Devon Achane, who's got a lot of speed. They've got the cheetah in Tyreek Hill, who just had a career year. Jalen Waddle. If they get it right with Tua, and or if Tua is able to stay healthy this year, it's not going to be a shock if the Dolphins in the AFC title game, because we saw them in multiple times last year. They can score with the best of teams. Now, I
true.
get it. Tua might not have been playing the best against superior competition, but this is the offseason to be able to rebuild for that. I know there was a lot of that went probably into his preparation, knowing what he went through last year. And again, the Jets, we know the entire offseason they've had being in week 12 gives them some time to get into everything. Eagles, Cowboys, you mentioned in week 13. And then the Jets really got some good primetime love this year. I love seeing that the NFL knew how much of a debacle almost it was with Aaron Rodgers, whether he was or wasn't going to leave the Packers. The Jets got their fair share of primetime games. They got their big games. They got their, Monday, Thursday, Sunday night. And here's another one again with the Browns. I love that you mentioned the Browns earlier in the show. Jets are going to be there to square off with them. So definitely a loaded Thursday night football slate. Now let's get into Sunday night football. Schedule's looking okay. I love the NFL kickoff game, but I'll let you take the floor here. Give me some of those best games from Sunday night.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at week 4 right now. Seahawks, Giant. I'm sorry, that's a Monday night game. My bad. Chiefs, Jets was the week 4 game.
Yeah.
Again, you got Rodgers versus Mahomes. We're going to cross our fingers that that's the case because due to injury to Mahomes in 2019, due to COVID with Rodgers in 2021, we were kind of
Yep.
robbed of because, Mahomes and Rodgers in terms of style of play, very, very similar, like good outside the pocket. Obviously, both have monster arms,
Yep.
accurate. Like it's kind of the teacher versus the master sort of, or the teacher versus the student type of situation with those two. I'd love to see that. Also looking down the road to week 7, Dolphins Eagles. You got Tua versus Hurts. Obviously, knowing those guys' history at Alabama.
Yep.
Tua obviously replacing Hurts in the championship game. The legend of Tua at Alabama happened in that. Hurts goes to Oklahoma and does great things there. Looking down the road to week 10, you got Jets Raiders. You got Garoppolo versus Rodgers. You got McDaniels versus Nathaniel Hackett. Two guys who I have some questions about in terms of how well they fit with their respective teams. You got Lamar versus Herbert in week 12. Week
Yep.
12, week 13 always, because it's around that Thanksgiving time. They usually provide some of the best games of
Yep.
the year. So
Playoff implications start to come
pl-
in.
playoff implications start coming in. So yeah, there's some really good ones on the schedule. Also looking ahead. Let's see, make sure we get Packers Vikings in week 17. I
Yep.
think Minnesota is going to take a step back this year. I also think Green Bay is going to be kind of in the cellar. So does that game get flexed out?
Right.
Uh, there's Bengals Chiefs again. That's the New Year's Eve one. But there's some fascinating Sunday night games. But again, I still go back to the Thursday night schedule. I think was NFL hit it out of the park in, because the thing is Sunday night people are going to watch anyway. Doesn't matter
Oh
who's
yeah.
on. People are going to tune in. Just a
Right.
matter of who's playing.
Absolutely. It's wrapping up the week. Maybe you had a great dinner. Maybe it was chill. Looking for something to watch on Sunday night. Oh, Sunday night football's on. Like you're just going to turn it on. Thursday might be a little different. Starting at 7, people still kind of getting off work. Sundays though, winding down the week, and who doesn't love to see some good NFL football. Now, I will give a lot of respect talking about the Sunday night football schedule here for 2023 in the NFL. The NFL kickoff game got a lot of respect for the Lions facing the
Yes.
defending Super Bowl champions to start the year. Lions, their draft is very controversial. You can talk to one person and they'll say they got, top 2 to 3 talent at each of the positions that they took. And then you talk to someone like me and it's like, wow, Jahmyr Gibbs at 12, knowing that they would have went Jahmyr Gibbs potentially at 6 if they wouldn't have traded down. They know that they take a linebacker, shortly after that. And they filled some needs for sure, but it's just the value, the way that things played out. And maybe I have to develop a new way to look at the NFL draft, because I saw someone say, hey, first round, you get the best players. Second round, you get your needs. Third round, day one, best players, which is first round. Day
Yeah.
2, you fill out your needs, which is, your second, third, and fourth round players, or maybe just second and third round. Can't remember. And then day 3, you fill out the needs or just fill out your roster that you actually need. So I might have to get in a new mindset about the NFL draft, but nonetheless, bringing it back to the Detroit Lions here, knowing that they are going to have some players that are going to be starters that came out of the draft. Jahmyr Gibbs going up against this Chiefs defense that was pretty solid last year, and we saw
It
the
was.
defensive line that they were able to bring forward. Jared Goff. Maybe we see Hendon Hooker in week 1. We don't know who's going to be that starter yet, and reports are going to come out. But this being the kickoff game, I think the Lions are going to contend. I do believe the Chiefs will still win, but the Lions, I believe, are going to get their spotlight early in the year and answer a lot of questions, being the first game on Sunday Night Football, that we're going to see. You look at week 4, Chiefs Jets, like you were saying, everyone's looking forward to that Rodgers Mahomes matchup. No question about that. I'm liking week 7 as well. Dolphins Eagles. Again, you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned that one. Tua and Hurts. Two teams there that can really go back and forth. A sneaky one that I think maybe could be not revealing, but a game that, hey, if you catch it on week 8, it could be one to watch potentially. Bears, Chargers. I know the Bears aren't going to be hyped up, and I know
Okay.
the Chargers are definitely a team that is looking to be higher up and definitely ahead of the Bears at this point. But I can see the Bears being that sneaky competitive team. I know the moves that they made. I know the trade package that they were able to get for that number 1 pick. Week 9, Bills, Bengals. You go forward here a little bit. Thanksgiving game, I'm not sure about the Niners playing against the Seahawks. The Niners, we
Really?
still have some questions. We have some questions about their quarterback position. And with their quarterback position being up in the air, it's kind of like the Dolphins as well. They can be great if the quarterback position hits. And we know Brock Purdy did a lot of great things with the Niners, but he did just have that surgery. There's still questions about Trey Lance. You mentioned week 12, Ravens, Chargers. Week 14, Eagles, Cowboys could be a great one. Week 15, Ravens, Jags. Definitely looking forward to that one. And then I'm interested to see what the week 18 game is going to be determined. I know it's a ton of games we're going over there, but I do feel like the NFL, like you mentioned, they heard our claims about Thursday night football. They see Sunday night football. They see Monday night football. We're going to get into some of the teams that had or didn't have those primetime games. So y'all get in the comments, get in the chat. Let us know what y'all think about all of the primetime games we just went over. If there's a revenge game that we missed out on, we want to hear from you guys on the show.